Alright, how you doing? This is going to be the dorkiest episode, Moby, and I'm gonna do a quote. Living a long time plus my black cock don't mix. SeaWorld. Living a long time plus my black schlong don't mix. SeaWorld. How could they? And so we are debating about making Moby the head capital of the rage against living a long time with my black dorkiest porpiest. And do you splash around white people? Mobile. In the Bible, the dragon is in similitude with old, potentially being old. There are two main themes then. One, a big red dragon, plump and inflated, which is going on the skillet tomorrow. And the other one, the iron rod. The bronze and iron, the big red dragon, and the iron rod. Then there was Nappy, and Nappy would simply sweep them up. Are both Red Dragon and Iron Rod underground precepts? And what would you do with the underground? Red Dragon, would you floss it? Would you partake in sex and populate? Because all that must be given to whites. While the 12 times 12, 144 must fly wings. Green session. Then there's Nappy, and Nappy will simply sweep them up. In the story of the desert, light woods were with bamboo, but bamboo was not desert wood, and red and green shall not enter into red and green. But light woods from the desert were a vacuum, an AC which draws in air inside its vents. Liking their poems, Panda would chew on the bamboo lightwood stalks and listen to the poems. Nappy in the west was a vacuum cleaner which draws in air, because the east versus the west showed hot air for flight versus light air for flight, and at light air became a vacuum cleaner at east versus west. Nappy is cleaner, hot air balloon versus light air, and Panda would eat and burp. There are two servants down below in the evening, the red velt and the earth. Happy jolly black deeds white. Good morning. And Nappy produces flowers. Jellies and stone. Did they not have giants in the days of Moses? SeaWorld examination. Fossils are there for the bones, and therefore if the people kept growing after one regrowth, then one regrowth with an elder person is still grow. If that is accurate, that there's two different parts, the skeletal and the regrowth. And if that part is true, then every single regrowth should have a skeletal. And if that part is true, then a static keep on with one electric, and take that one electric and divide that one electric and cross divide different volts to different volts. The staff of Moses. It's all about storing memory between those parts. Nappy is a vacuum. The underground episode. They attack from the roots, Bible quote, and check out the tree, going west from the North Pole, but coming this way, going east, you'll see a tree upside down, and a girl's tongue is sticking out, and check out the root. Walk before you fly, Nappy kite, the dragon, living a long time, plus my black schlong don't mix, SeaWorld.
The Arcturian. Did you know there are legends of an inner Earth civilization that exists alongside humanity within the planet? Said to hold a second sun and multiple civilizations living across the fourth and fifth dimension. And did you know many accounts claim this inner Earth becomes reachable through portals on Earth's surface, often linked to sacred areas scattered across the world? Inner Earth is inhabited by multiple groups, and Agaharton is characterized as an umbrella term for the different species said to inhabit Earth's underworld, which are now too many to name. Inner Earth residents more broadly are described as existing civilizations distinct from surface humanity, often depicted as advanced in both spirituality and social order. Some versions claim these residents include a mixture of advanced human groups and reptilian civilizations, living within inner Earth layers that operate under different rules than surface society. In these accounts, inner Earth communities are portrayed as more stable and less violent than surface cultures. The legends sometimes claim that inner Earth inhabitants do not engage in war against one another in the way surface humans do, and that their societies maintain coherence through different ethical structures, energetic discipline, or collective harmony. Inner Earth residents are also described as physically similar to surface humans in overall form, while also being portrayed as refined in appearance and longevity, longer lifespans, or youthfulness at later ages, and greater symmetry. Surface humanity, by contrast, is sometimes described as more hybridized and more susceptible to aggression, chaos, and manipulation. Within that umbrella, legends describe a specific western branch of the inner Earth network, identified as the Telosansi. They are described as originating from Alpha Centauri 4, a world called Selosomst. They are as tall, human beings with pale, gleaming skin and white hair, and they are said to possess strongly developed telepathic capacities. Their eyes are described as clear, with coloration ranging from gray to pale blue. Their diet is presented as plant-based, with food grown hydroponically under full-spectrum artificial lighting. They are also said to use psychotronic technologies connected to crystals and a universal life force energy. The general mode of existence attributed to the Telosians is described as distinct from that of Terrans, with an emphasis on being calmer, quieter, and vibrating at a somewhat higher density. They are said to participate in protecting the environment and ecosystems, and they are also framed as resisting newer religious systems that, in this telling, disconnect humans from nature, from their own power, and from source. They are known for helping Earth Terrans recover hidden knowledge by providing tools and hints, guiding archaeological discoveries, and offering keys for decoding ancient knowledge. In this chronology, these Telosians are presented as an ancient colony related to the Selosians who settled on Earth long before the last ice age. The narrative claims that Earth's myths remember them under the name Lemurians, but argues that Atlanteans would be a more accurate label because their civilization is described as having extended through the Atlantic region and along its shores. After the destruction of their lands, they are said to have migrated into multiple areas, including the American continent, Western Africa, and Western Europe. Following these upheavals, they migrated underground, and during that movement, separated themselves from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They are then described as becoming the western branch of an Agathon network. At the same time, they are described as having interbred with Terrans, with the claim that their genetic markers appear repeatedly within Earth's human population. Like their Selosians cousins who are working with the Galactic Federation of Worlds, they are believed to be benevolent by nature and inclined to assist humanity, specifically by remembering humanity's ancient past, helping with its ascension, and improving human health and longevity. The flow of information about inner Earth is also described as unstable due to competing narratives and alleged manipulation. Some versions claim that certain inner Earth groups fear surface interference or invasion, and therefore contribute to disinformation currents. Within this framework, the legends say that some channeled messages and spiritual narratives become unreliable because they are filtered through multiple agendas, human misunderstanding, deliberate distortion, and competing factions. This is used to explain why inner Earth lore appears contradictory across communities. The information field is portrayed as contested, layered, and subject to manipulation. The Telosians are asserted to be at the origin of crop circles, described as geometric clues meant to guide the decoding of a lost science. They are also linked to crystals commonly referred to as Lemurian crystals, with the claim that a more accurate name would be Telosi quartz. Ancient text claims that wherever these crystals are found in the Earth, the Telosians are nearby. These crystals are described as containing encoded keys that unlock ancient knowledge and data tied to the star origins of certain ancient civilizations. The crystals are said to function as keys rather than as books or devices that directly hold knowledge, and are framed as enabling access to knowledge rather than storing it in the usual way. In this account, their use of these keys is presented as one way they assist humanity's ascension, with the energy signature of the crystal structure described as the crucial element. Agartha is also tied to older esoteric mythologies that place hidden sanctuaries and retreat kingdoms within sacred landscapes. In these traditions, inner Earth domains are linked to initiatory geographies, mountains and remote regions believed to conceal dimensional doorways, hidden chambers, or access points to advanced beings and concealed orders. In modern variations of the mythos, one of the most frequently named gateway regions is Mount Shasta, described as an access point where inner Earth gates may open and as a nexus where contact can occur through alleged energetic interfaces between worlds. There are two broad ways people talk about Agartha and Agarthans. One approach treats Agartha primarily as a legendary inner earth kingdom, an occult and esoteric tradition that evolved through spiritual movements and hollow earth interpretations. In this approach, Agartha is presented as a mythic geography, a hidden realm that functions as symbol, spiritual map, and initiatory idea. Another approach presents Agarthans more literally as living participants in current events, an active inner earth civilization engaged with surface humanity through spiritual communication and disclosure narratives. In that modern ecosystem, inner earth inhabitants are frequently portrayed as telepathic, spiritually advanced, and technologically sophisticated, sometimes described as living in luminous subterranean cities, guided by councils or spiritually organized governance, and sometimes placed within broader cosmic alliances that include federations or confederations of benevolent, non-human groups. These legends often include themes of controlled disclosure, gradual awakening, and eventual open contact, presented as dependent on humanity reaching the right level of collective readiness. 10. Cultural cross-label, CD/Shining Ones. The Talosian are also associated with certain Celtic cultures, where they are said to be known as the Shining Ones or the Cedar. Interestingly, a group of Agarthans, ethereal, returned to the surface to teach and wander in avatar bodies. These Agarthans were the teachers of the ancient Druids. The Druids functioned like systems engineers of the living land, mapping subtle flows in rock, water, and sky, and learning how to tune a site without forcing it. Where other traditions built walls and declared territory, Druids built alignment, using procession routes, standing stones, and directional rites to create coherent fields that supported safe contact. In this framing, Agartha stayed concealed because the interface remained sensitive, and Druids were the group whose job was keeping that sensitivity from collapsing into chaos. Timing formed the second pillar. Druid calendars treated the year as a sequence of energetic gates, solstices, equinoxes, and cross-quarter days, when boundaries loosened and perception sharpened. Their rites looked less like symbolism and more like activation protocols, synchronizing breath, chant, and attention with the land's rhythm so a community could meet a threshold without destabilizing it. If Agartha engagement had windows, Druids were trained to hit those windows with precision and restraint. Taken together, the legends present Agarthans as a flexible concept. In one tradition, the term refers broadly to inner earth residents within a portal and timelines cosmology. In another, it refers to named subterranean branches such as the Talosian, described with specific star origins, migrations, technologies, and methods of assisting humanity. Inner Earth is presented as a domain that cannot be reduced to ordinary underground geography, but is instead described as a time-layered continuum, a set of inner Earth timelines that interface with the surface through portal mechanics and parallel reality access. In that model, inner Earth contact is portrayed as occurring through timeline interface and transharmonic movement rather than simple physical travel. Inner Earth is depicted as an inhabited environment whose access opens through specific initiatory thresholds, and the overall system is described as a multi-layered ecology in which different beings and factions can operate through the same subterranean and interdimensional interface. The Akabangartians are a peaceful, quiet reptiloid people who sustain themselves through vast subterranean gardens cultivated inside their remarkable inner Earth dwellings. Most of their civilization exists beneath the surface, spread through earth mounds and immense buried cities. They originate from a three-world planetary system known as K7. Over time, their aging sun began emitting harsher, hotter radiation that proved harmful to their physiology. As conditions worsened, the Akabangatians gradually abandoned surface life and retreated underground as a long-term means of survival. Although they are recognized members of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, they rarely engage in diplomacy or wider political affairs, largely due to the isolation and constraints created by their subterranean society. In the same context, Inner Earth Lemurians and Melchizedeks like Sanat Kumara the Venusian are also explicitly named as a line called to action for the same purpose, assisting with timeline link intersections into parallels, again tied to the Easter Island and Hawaiian Islands references, placing them as another specialized Inner Earth branch in the architectural mechanics of timelines and gates. Particular legends include an appearance-based grouping in which Nordic and Celtic-like races are described as originating from the Inner Earth alongside others. In that presentation, Nordic functions as phenotype language rather than a single off-world origin claim. There are said to be other races that resemble the Nordic appearance and come from the Inner Earth, which positions some Nordic and Celtic-looking groups as locally sourced from Inner Earth layers rather than only from stellar origins. Many lived as surface dwellers until they went back into the Inner Earth to preserve the purity of their race. In the historical timeline legends, Agartha is described as a contested domain, an arena for takeover, underground strategy, and incursions. The Nibiru Anunnaki resistance is presented as a faction described as deciding to take over the Inner Earth, paired with a patriarchal Melchizedek descendant lines of King Anu factional expression. These takeovers are described historically as aggressive territorial campaigns and the misuse of crystal-related interbreeding and power generation technologies tied to Earth's inner structures and caverns, with catastrophic outcomes used to explain large-scale planetary damage in the mythic chronology. In a related underground tunnels, Draconian/Draco-linked forces are described as operating through covert underground access routes, described through underground tunnels, invasion and deception language, placing Draco-linked actors as an incursion class associated with subterranean tunnel infrastructure and destabilization of underground systems. At the same time, Inner Earth has a portal occupancy and frequency mechanic system. Solar Risha are presented less as ordinary subterranean citizens and more as a high-level energetic class connected to the Inner Earth portal continuum. Their placement within Inner Earth is described in the sense of being seated in or operating through Inner Earth and adjacent portal systems, with access described as opening through specific tonal and initiation mechanics rather than geographic travel. In that worldview, Solar Rishi/Raisha are described as portal system-linked beings or ascended master-like operators connected to frequency states and initiation ladders that can open Inner Earth engagement and contact across Inner Earth timelines. Within that broad Inner Earth ecosystem, the Telosians are presented as a specific Western branch within an Agarthan network. They are described as originating from Alpha Centauri 4, a world called Salo. They are portrayed as tall, bright human beings with pale, gleaming skin and white hair, and they are said to possess strongly developed telepathic capacities. Their eyes are described as clear, with coloration ranging from grey to pale blue. Their diet is presented as plant-based, with food grown hydroponically under full-spectrum artificial lighting. They are also said to use psychotronic technologies connected to crystals and a universal life force energy. They are presented as an ancient colony related to the Solosians, who settled on Earth long before the last ice age. Ancient texts claims that Earth's myths remember them under the name Lemurians, but argues that Atlanteans would be a more accurate label because their civilization is described as having extended through the Atlantic region and along its shores. After the destruction of their lands, they are said to have migrated into multiple areas, including the American continent, Western Africa, and Western Europe. In Hollow Earth belief lore, there are several ancient cities within Agartha, once believed to be myth, that are connected to Agartha. The first is Hyperborea is framed as the far north blessed realm, and in modern occult retellings it becomes a polar sanctuary tied to the idea of North Pole gateways, a place where an elder culture either guarded entrances or vanished into the inner domain when surface conditions changed. Next, Lemuria is cast as a vast ancient civilization that ended in catastrophe, flooding, volcanic upheaval, continental collapse, and Hollow Earth versions often say its survivors preserved their culture by retreating into subterranean refuge networks and hidden cities connected by tunnels and threshold zones under sacred mountains. Another ancient land of Agartha is Shambhala, which becomes the initiatory Cedar Kingdom, a concealed center of wise rule and trained guardians that some believers place in a hidden Himalayan valley, while others treat it as a subtle realm overlapping the physical world, frequently paired with Agartha as the inner capital, reachable through rare passage, destiny, or inner preparedness. Mu is positioned as a mother civilization of the Pacific whose knowledge seeded later cultures. In Hollow Earth, myth-making it often blends with Lemuria or runs parallel to it, another drowned world whose survivors carry symbols, rituals, and sciences into inner sanctuaries, so the civilization continues below even when the surface chapter ends. Put together, the common thread is simple. Hyperborea equals polar origin/gateway. Lemuria and Mu equals lost continents whose remnants go inward, and Shambhala equals hidden seat of guardianship, all functioning as linked faces of one concealed inner earth realm believers call Agartha. In the Anunnaki/Sumerian tablet retellings, there is an account of a being named Galzu who arrives from inner earth, or another realm, around the time of the Great Flood, often linked in later myth framing to the flood of Atlantis. He is
Atlanteans, that's even worse. That's underwater. Until next time, the Agartha episode.